We're going to move into a new piece. We're going to talk about how to find percents and wholes and parts. So it's going to be all three of them put together. We're going to give you a basic framework that if you will follow this framework, this should be a really easy piece for you guys to do, combined with what we have already taught you. So when you set up proportions with percents, the first thing we're going to do is the number in front of the percent sign is going to go over 100. Why do you think it goes over 100? Cannon? Awesome, thank you. Percent sign means out of 100. So basically we're just taking that percent, we're turning it into a fraction is all we're doing. That is the very first thing that I want you to do. Okay? After that, there's two major words that are going to come up time and time again in these proportion problems. Those words are is and of. So it's going to be is and of. Now this might seem a little backwards, but the second one we want you to find is the word of. The last thing you're going to do is find the word is. Sometimes they're not going to use those words. So it's really important you understand. The is actually the part. The of is actually the whole. One way to help you remember this, when you're talking about parts and wholes, something is a part of a whole. So is a part, the is the part of a whole. And most of the time you're going to see this as we start getting into the problems. When we talk about these percentage problems, most of the problems are going to say basically some number is some percent of some number. That is just the basic format of all these problems. The key for success today is putting these numbers in the right spots. If you put them in the right spots, most of the math isn't that difficult. So again, your part, the quantity associated with the word is. Whole is the number following the word of, so whatever is right after of is your whole. Percent is the number that is associated with your percent sign. The reason we do it in this order, the percent should be the easiest thing to find. It's got the percent sign. I'll give you a hint. One of these three spaces will be blank. The 100's always going to be there. If I see a percent sign, the number right before it goes right here. If the problem is asking me to find the percent, what am I going to put above the 100? But it's saying to find the percent. So I don't know what it is. So mathematically, what do I put to show something I don't know, but I know there's a number there? I don't put 0. X, what do we call that? Variable. Good job, Sean. So we put a variable. So one of these three slots will have a variable. If I have found my percent, I put the number there. Then I find the word of. The reason we go to of second is of is very, very consistent. It's always going to say of a number or of something. Now, sometimes they'll trick you. They'll say of something, and then they'll tell you later what that something is. So you got to be careful of that. But the nice thing about of is it's always what's right after of. It never changes. So the consistency is why we do that one second. The reason we put is last is because is very fickle. It will change. If is at the start of the sentence, it's the number before is. If is at the last of the sentence, it's the number after is. It gets really confusing. So the bottom line is we want you to just remember, if I have two numbers already, then my is my variable. If one of these, either the percent or the of is a variable, then whatever that third number is goes in the is part. Okay? This will make more sense as we do some problems. So let's get into a couple problems to show it. Here's our first one. We're going to use the circle graph. Suppose there are 300 students at York Middle School. Determine the number of students that have chips as a snack. So there's our question, our task, determine the number. You guys see this? The line, the equals, the line. All of these problems are going to start like this. We've given you one additional step. You can put a 100 right here. Every problem today and really for about the next 2 weeks is going to start with this right here. Awesome. That's why, Sean. So now, go ahead, Avi. Now they told us we want chips. Looking at my circle graph, what is the percent for chips? So what's going to go over 100? 18. Keynote, do I put the percent sign there? No, because I have converted it to a fraction. So I don't put the percent sign because it's now over 100. Now, they have to always give us an additional piece of information or we can't solve it. So what was the second piece of information they gave us on this? Okay. What was the third one they gave us? 300. So now, did they use the words is and of? No, they used are. So that kind of throws us off from our original one. So now you got to go to that second part. Is that 300 the part of the students or the whole students? Whole. So where's that going to go? On the bottom. Does that make sense? So I don't know here. Here's where our magic box comes back in. How do I go from 100 to 300? Times 3. So guess what I do to the 18? Times 3. For those of you who don't see that, 18 times 3, 24, carry the 2, 54. So my answer is 54 students have chips for snack. Any questions on any of the steps that we just took on that? Okay, so let's do another one then. Now we're going to change the information up a little bit. The cafeteria at Middletown surveyed 575 students about their favorite food. Determine the number of students that responded for each of the following. So there's our task, determine the number of students. You can see our setup has already been done for us. The only thing we didn't do is put the 100 there, but you can go ahead and do that on both of them if you want to. So for chicken, what was our percent? So what goes over the 100? 8. What was the additional piece of information they gave us? Jasmine? So where does that go? Is that the part of the students or the whole students? So that goes in the denominator on the bottom. So our magic box, now is where it gets a little tricky. Can I go directly 100 to 575? No, so we can always step back and simplify before we go forward. Can I reduce 100 to a number that's going to get easy to get to 575? By what? Is 50 going to go to 575 easy? And make it to 25 though. So how do I go from 100 to 25? I divide by 4. So I divide by 4 and I get 2 and 25. Miss McShann pulled this out earlier, and I really liked it. Once we step back, cross out that original one so you don't get confused on what you're doing, guys. Because now I'm going from 25 to 575. So how do I do that? I multiply by. If you don't see it, we can always divide, right? So I can take 575 and divide by 25 to figure out what I multiplied by to get there. So will 25 go into 5? Nope, 57, twice, subtract 50, gets me a 7, still have a 5 to go. 25 goes into 75, 3 times, now I'm at 0. So what did I multiply by to get there? 23. So guess what I do to the 2? Times 23 to give me 46. Am I done? Good, I still have to answer the question. So 46 students prefer chicken. Now our next one, now they're looking at hamburgers. What percent did they give us this time? 20. JJ, so what goes over the 100? 20. Is there anybody who is confused about why I'm putting that number there? Good. Should be easy, guys. That's why we start there. So our next one, we got to look for that third piece of information. It's actually the same, isn't it? Yeah. It's 575 on the bottom. Is it easy to go from 575 to 100 to 575? Nope. So what can I step this back to get to 575? Same thing, right? It's still divided to 25. So divide this by 4. It's going to get me 5 and 25. So this is now not where we're going. Does it change going 25 to 575 from what we did last time? Nope, still times 23. So I'm going to do 23 times 5. Gives us 15. Carry the 1, 115. So our final answer on this one, 115 students prefer burgers. It doesn't say everybody does. It says only 20%. So 20% is only 1 in 5. Questions on what we've done so far, guys? Nobody? Okay. Let's turn the page.
Y'all are ridiculous. All right, guys. We always start with 100 in this corner. It says find 30% of 80. So what goes over my 100? 30, because that's our percent. Of 80, where does my 80 go? The bottom, because that's where of goes, yes? Can I do something to 100 to get to 80 evenly? No, so I'm going to have to simplify. Can I simplify to a number that would get to 80 evenly? Okay, what can I simplify by? 10, and that gives me, there we go, 3 and 10, so I can cross this out. What would I do to 10 to get to 80 evenly? Times 8, so 3 times 8, so 24 is my answer. Do I need to write a sentence? No, this was not a word problem, so I don't need a sentence. I just put 24 in the box. Any questions? All right, we always start with 100 in this box. Where does my 15 go? The top, then it says of 60. So where does my 60 go? The bottom of my second fraction. Can I do something to 100 to get to 60 evenly? No, so I have to simplify. What can I simplify by? Can 20 go into 15? 5. And that gives me 3 over 20. I cross this out. What do I do to 20 to get to 60 evenly? So 3 times 3? 9. So 9 is my answer. Any questions about how to do this? All right, the rest of the page is yours, and you have 8 minutes to work on it. You may work as partners, but no conversations, just working. All right, guys, so it says 55% of 220, so you know 100 goes here. What goes over my 100? Always my percent. Then it says of 200. Is 200 going to be my numerator or my denominator? Denominator. Sorry, it's 220. Can I do something to 100 to get to 220 evenly? No, so I need to simplify. What can I simplify 55 and 100 by? 5. I get 11 out of 20. Cross out the one I don't need anymore. What can I do to 20 to get to 220 evenly? Multiply by 11. So 11 times 11 is 121. If you did not know what to multiply by, you divide and see how many times 20 will go into 220. It will go 1, bring down to 0, it will go 1 again. Any questions? Number 6, 25% of 4. 100 goes automatically. What goes over my 100? My percent, always. And then it says of 4. So where does my 4 go? Denominator. Can I do something to 100 to get to 4 evenly? Yes. Divide by what? So I divide the top by 25, and what do I get? 1. So my answer is 1. If you simplified, if you stepped back, you still could have gotten the same answer. Number 7. This one is a word problem, so you have to pay attention to what they tell you. Of the 300 sheep in the flock, 30% are white. What is the total number of white sheep in the flock? They did not set up your problem for you, so you needed to do that. What goes over my 100? 30. It has the percent sign. It always goes over the 100. Then it says, of the 300 sheep. Is the 300 sheep part of the flock or the whole flock? The whole flock. So it's going to go at the bottom. What can I do to 100 to get to 300? So I multiply my top times 3, and what do I get? 90. This is a word problem, so I need a word answer. There are 90 white sheep. Any questions? And 90 white sheep. You have to have the word white. Number 8, the original price for a pair of shoes is $44. The sales price is 25% off the original price. What is the discount? So you have to set up your problem. What goes over my 100? Always the percent. The original price for the shoes is $44. Is that part of the price or the whole price? The whole price. Your original price is always going to be your whole. Again, your original price is always going to be your whole. Your sales price or your discount is always part. Is there something I can do to 100 to get to 44 evenly? No, but I can simplify. What can I simplify by? Okay, 25, and that gives me 1/4. What can I do to 4 to get to 44? Times 11. So what is 1 times 11? 11. So my answer is 11, but am I done? What do I have to do? Write a word answered. My discount is $11. Any questions about those problems?
I didn't realize she had stopped it. Okay, so again, all of your problems are going to start with this basic setup where you have a line, your equal sign, another line with the 100 underneath. The first thing you want to do is find the percent. If I don't have a percent, that's where my variable goes. The second thing I want to do is find the word of, because it's going to be very consistent. Just in case they don't have the word of, you're actually looking at the whole. The last thing you're going to do is fill in what's left. This will either be a variable if you already have 2 numbers, or whatever the last number is. And it's the one that's near the word is, either right before or right after. But again, that changes, which is why we do that last. Okay? Question, Nora? Yes. How'd you know what? You're talking about number 8? Number 6? Okay, so 25% of 4. They didn't put the word is in here, but the 25%, that's what the percent goes over the 100. The of is 4, so I go down here. If I can see an easy way to go from one to the other, I can just put that straight in my box. If not, you can always simplify and then step forward. But ironically, if you simplify it, I'd divide both those by 25. I'd get 1 and 4, so I'd actually just be multiplying by 1. Make sense? Okay. So back on here. So let's look at number 1. Again, we're breaking this down. Start off with your basic framework. First thing I want to do is find my percent. What's the percent on this problem? 75 is 15% of what? What's my percent? 15, guys. It's the one with the percent sign. What is right after of? What is right after of? What? Do I know the of? No. So what goes there? Variable. What is left? 75. So where's it go? The only spot that's left. Okay. Now we do our magic box. Can I go directly from 15 to 75?
No.
Yeah. Multiply by?
3.
Times 5. If you didn't see it, we could always step back. Okay? If I needed to step back, 15 and 100, I could divide both those by 5. So I divide those by 5, and I would have gotten 3 and 20. Okay? So I'm going to get rid of the times 5 because we did a step back. How do I go 3 to 75? Times 25. So now I do 25 times 20, and I get 0, 10, 500. Which is also what I would have gotten if I did 100 times 5 on the first one when I saw the direct relationship. So what was my percent? 15. What was my part?
25.
What was my whole? Should be easy. If you guys will follow the steps, this should be very easy. If you want to try to get lazy and just throw numbers in, you're going to get messed up. Okay, our next one. 9 is 36% of what? So my framework is the same. Start with my percent. What's my percent? 36. What's after of? What? So do I know that one? So what goes there? Variable. What number is left? 9. Can I go directly from 36 to 9? Yes. Divide by 4. So 100 divided by 4 gives me 25. Ironically, guys, if you step back, you're probably going to divide either by 2 or 4. Hopefully at 18 and 50 you guys would see it if you didn't see it at 36 and 9.
Because actually 9 times 4 is 36.
Right. So what's my percent?
No, 36.
What was my part?
9.
What was my whole?
5.
Okay. Number 3. Yes. You good? Okay, 7 is what percent of 10? So start with our framework. What's my percent?
Variable.
So I put a variable. What's right after the word of? 10. So where does that go? What's left? Okay, now here's one we really haven't done much of. We've always gone left to right, but we always really start where I have 2 numbers. So that means I'm actually going this way. How do I go from 10 to 100?
Time.
Times what? Times 10. So my magic box is times 10. It's just that I'm going the other direction. So 7 times 10 gives me 70. So what is my percent? What was my part? What was my whole? Somebody's starting to see how these all fit together. Okay? 8 is what percent of 20? So start with our framework. What is my percent? X. I don't know it. What's right after of? What's left? Okay? Again, remember, I'm going where I have two numbers, so I'm actually going this direction. How do I go from 20 to 5? Times 5. So what do I do to the 8? Times 5, yes. Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Dang it, it's on recording too. Man, they called me out and I got caught. Yeah, so every once in a while my mind gets a little too ahead of me. What was our percent?
40.
What's our part? What's our whole? Okay. Now, just because Ayana embarrassed me in front of the entire world, we're going to let you guys struggle a little bit and try to figure out these two on your own. There's no timer, but we're going to give you guys about 5 minutes. It's not that hard once you figure it out, but a big problem, at least what I'm seeing on the ones that I checked, you guys are still refusing after a quarter and a half to mark your text. Please, guys. I'm getting so frustrated with this because we don't grade it because honestly it's only to help you, and yet so many of you refuse to accept this help. And I don't understand it because it's not hard. Literally all you're doing is circling numbers and units, underlining the math terms, boxing your question. You can do it as you read. Country music makes up 75%. There's a number of Landon's music. We just gave you another key term today. 2 of them is and of. So I know that of is important, Landon's music. If he has downloaded 90 country, there's a number, country music songs, there's a label. How many songs does he have in his music library? There's our question. So we box it. Is that hard to do?
No.
So why do you continue to refuse to do it? Blows my mind. We've given you this as an easy setup. Do I have a percent?
No. Yes.
Sean, I just circled it. 75. Now, do I see the word of? Here's where it gets tricky in these word problems. It says what? Of Landon's music library. Do we know how much he has in his music library? No. So what goes in the of spot? X. What's left? 90. Guys, this is what we're stressing today is you've got to be able to follow this. Put the numbers in the correct spot. Can I go directly from 75 to 90? No. So I need to do a step back. What can I divide 75 and 100 by? 5. So if I divide those by 5, I get 15 and 20. Can I go straight from 15 to 90? Yeah. Times 6. If you don't see it, you can do another step back. So if you didn't see that, I can divide that by 5 again. That gives me, whoa, where did I go? There we go, 3 and 4. So then if I'm going from 3, then it's going to be 3 times what is 90? 30. So 4 times 30 gets me 120. My percent was 75 because remember, percent is where it started. My part was 90. My whole was 120. So Landon has 120 songs. Has 120 songs in his library. No, that's really not that much. Okay? Our next one. Peyton spent 60% of her money to buy a new television. If the television cost $300, how much money did she have? There's our question. So start again with our basic setup. Do I know my percent? Yes. Do I see the word of? Yes, of her money. Do I know how much money she had? No. So what goes in my whole spot? X. 300. The other way to think of it is 300 the part of her money or the whole of her money? The part of her money. But I still really like the is and of, guys. It's going to be much easier for you. Can I go directly from 60 to 300? Yes, times 5. 100 times 5 gets me 500. Percent was 60, parts 300, whole's 500. And our answer is Peyton had $500. Any questions on anything we've covered so far? Okay, there's lunch. We'll pick up on the way back. Okay, so we're going to go through these relatively quickly because you guys had time to work on them by yourselves. But again, guys, especially on these word problems, marking your text is really quite critical. If you'll mark your text, it's going to help you pull out the information that you need. Our first one, in the first year of ownership, a new car can lose 20% of its value. The car lost $4,200 of value in the first year. How much did the car originally cost? There's our question. So again, we're going to set up our framework just like we have been all day. Do I know our percent? Yes, 20. Do you see the word of? I see it twice. Of ownership, of value. So do we know the value of the car? No. So what goes under the of? X. What's left? 4,200.